Hey, somebody needs to run the crab trap. You have? Excellent. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. You are listening to the Professional Noticer. Hello, everyone. I'm Andy Andrews. Hey, thank you for making me a part of your week. My purpose here today and with every show we do is to play the part of a best friend or coach. I want to help you live the life of your wildest dreams by giving you access to the greatest mentors the world has to offer today. This week, the Professional Noticer is sponsored by Books for Veterans. The Veterans Administration in Washington, D.C. has asked for 10,000 Andy Andrews books. I'm personally donating as many as I can, but to reach 10,000, I need your help. What we're able to do to make that easier for you is for every $10 donation you make, a hardback book will be delivered to the Veterans Administration for the veterans, their families, and for the employees of the VA. That $10 will cover the cost of the book, the shipping, and handling. So whether you can make this a personal gift or a corporate donation, just go to andyandrews.com/veterans. This can be added to a website purchase or done as an individual entry. And thanks very much for your support. Observations and answers, that's what we do here on the Professional Noticer. And of course, we love it when somebody comes to the table with both. And now, not only do we have both, we have 4 times both. We have 8 times the observations and answers. We have some of my favorite people. I mean, they're just not just my favorite group. They're my, gosh, this is like my brothers and sisters and big sister. This is Gospel Music Hall of Fame. Grand Ole Opry members, the newest members of the Grand Ole Opry, the Isaacs. Hey guys, how are you?
Hi, Andy.
Hi, Cuz.
Man, you guys look a lot cooler than the last time we were together.
Oh man, woo, it was hot.
I cannot believe walking outside and seeing you guys. Well, I saw you from my hotel room, and you were out on that outdoor stage. And I walked out and I walked up to Ben and I said, seriously? Outdoors in Las Vegas? But, oh my gosh. But it turned out so great. It was so great that evening, but I know the daytime.
Well, you know, Andy, we're Jewish, so our mom told us to chase the money. We were chasing money.
Oh,
Well, you know, I'm telling you, man, it was like 126 degrees. And people say, well, it's a dry heat, but so is your oven, you know?
Right, exactly. I don't want to get in it.
Well, tell me what you've been doing just in the past couple of weeks. I'm just curious because I know with 4 of you, you're bound to have somebody's bound to have a cold. Somebody's bound to have a kid having something, you know. I mean, what's going on?
Who do you want to start with?
Start with you. You're the biggest.
I'm the biggest. Well, I've had strep throat.
So you really?
I have. I'm okay. I feel fine. I just went through, I lost my voice completely and had issues trying to just laryngitis, all the things that keep me from doing exactly what I need to do. So, but I'm good now. I've been on the farm the last couple of days, just taking it all in by myself.
So who's sick now?
well, I wouldn't say I'm sick, but, it's weird because you mentioned Vegas, but out there it was 100 degrees and it was like windy and you're in the desert and everything's dry. And like when we all got back from Vegas, we were out there for 5 days. Then we had like 2 outdoor concerts and it's just like our sinuses have not recovered from Vegas. So
then we went to Texas. The weather was altogether different.
Yeah, it's just the nature of traveling. But it's that time of year. There's a lot of grass pollen here, ragweed's coming out. And so we're all just dealing with different things and, we're fine. We don't feel bad. We just sound bad.
Well, I doubt that you sound bad, but I am curious just from a musical point of view. I mean, first of all, for people who may not know who the Isaacs are, you guys need to wake up. Because these are the best. I'm just telling you, I have known these guys for probably 120 years now. and I've seen probably 500,000 concerts. And
Well, we've known since you were a little boy. You remember this picture when you were little?
oh my God.
You remember that picture when you were a little boy?
2 weeks ago.
The nerd picture. Yeah. The nerd picture. Yeah, it was before I grew into my nose. Yeah. But you guys, I mean, you have, your last 3 albums were nominated for Grammys. You have so many Dove Awards that you have to keep them in a coop. And so when somebody does what you guys do, what do you do when somebody gets sick? I mean, there's nobody that can come in and substitute for you.
Or is there? So, if we can invert parts, we do that. Like, since we all sing lead, if one of us is down, then the others will sing more, and we'll just have to eliminate certain songs that we can't perform that night. Fortunately, Becky's daughter Jacoby and her son Levi have covered for Ben and I both in the last couple weeks. Just kind of spotted us on stage, and Jacoby sings high and she can sing my range, and she knows most of our songs. And so she got up there with us, and if I ran out of air or if my voice just quit, she would sing, and it was pretty fun.
There's a lot of times that it's not about hitting the notes, Andy. It's just being able to sustain it.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's the hard thing about it. If you could just get somebody to cover you on some of the notes, then you can still perform a lot of times, and we're still very musical because we play our own instruments. So we're there for that anyway. It's not easy, when you make a living with your voice and you get booked to do
I know, but I can sound croaky and people can kind of ignore it. I don't know that that's true of you guys.
Well, I mean, like, for example, this weekend, Jacoby would sing the choruses where all the harmony was, and then Sonia could save her voice for the verse. And that would give her just enough of a break for her vocal cords to get moist from like a cough drop or something. Oftentimes when your voice is dry is when it completely cuts out. So when you're breathing in a lot of air to sing, that's when you begin to get really raspy and lose it completely. So
there it is. Right there.
You're welcome. This will be me next week.
Bless you. Yeah.
But that gives them just enough of a vocal rest to be able to take a drink or swallow. And
we all try to be very health conscious. We take vitamins. We try to stay healthy. But I mean, at least once or twice a year, you just, if it's allergies or something's going around and you lose your voice. Those are the shows that you just really have to sweat through and push through, and it's really hard work. Whereas normally you definitely don't take for granted in those moments when you can sing comfortably.
So Lily, how often does that happen that like Jacoby is subbing for Sonia, and I mean, how often does that happen? And do people know? I mean, do people catch it?
Well, we're very transparent. So if we're up on stage and Jacoby's sitting there, or if maybe Levi comes in on a part that Ben's singing, we usually tell the people, that somebody's got laryngitis, and, thank God this wasn't COVID or it wasn't anything like, major like that. Nobody's running a fever. So it was just like mostly allergies. So we just explained to people, we're going to do this we can. But Jacoby did such a great job. And so did Levi. There was a time or two when he just spotted Ben on the end of a note, and people loved it. They're just talented. It doesn't happen often, maybe a couple of times a year, usually like when the seasons are changing or something like that. But we've managed to get through it. So, people like to get in on what's going on. So if you tell them up front, they're very
well, and also people really enjoy the fact of watching how we tag team. I think the entertainment of that is equally as entertaining as if they were hearing the notes perfect. So
see, that's what I think, because I think that there's so much going on that most of us don't really know. Like as much as I have watched you guys, I was talking to Jimmy Fortune, right? Who used to be with the Statler brothers and now is with Fortune, Rogers, Eyes. Ben, you got to do something about this name, man. I mean, I can't even promote you guys. I can't even tell people, go look at them on YouTube.
You cannot remember 4 names in order. My God.
I can't. So tell me what, I know it starts with Jimmy and ends with you. So Fortune,
Walker, Rogers, Isaacs.
They're not even in alphabetical order.
I know. You guys got to have a name. I mean,
So can I explain one second? And because we chose our names for identity. If you see Fortune, Walker, Rogers, Isaacs, you're gonna know the names and go, well, that's interesting. The album was called Brotherly Love, which I'm totally okay with having a group named Brotherly Love. But everything Brotherly Love is taken. Even the Brotherly Love Project Brotherly Love, we are having the darndest time. And it's people that keep referring to it as Brotherly Love. So now in all promotions, it says Fortune, Walker, Rogers, Isaacs, singing songs from Brotherly Love.
Right.
So,
well, okay. I still think you need to have a name. But here's what I was going after when I started on that is I think that people like me who are semi-normal, I mean, I'm a normal listener anyway. I'm not normal, but I'm a normal listener. And I listen to you guys, and there are things that I don't realize. I think the average listener just doesn't. I mean, I appreciate you telling us you're doing that, but I was talking to Jimmy Fortune, and I said, man, your blend is so unbelievable in that. And of course, I've talked to Bill Gaither about you guys. I've said, is there something in their vocal cords, or these guys, because they're genetically linked, that their vocal cords, that they're able to blend like that? Because it's just so unique. But then Jimmy Fortune told me that in the studio, you, Ben, who produced, you produce everybody, Merle Haggard, the Oak Ridge Boys, and so that you were teaching them about a sustained sound rather than the vibrato that many soloists have. So explain that.
Well, and that's the same with the Isaacs. We all sing straight tone. So a lot of people, when they sing, they'll go, where we are, straight tone. So no matter if you're a good listener, you can find your blend with that. You'll change the tone of your voice to match whoever's the most dominant. I don't know how to explain it to you, Andy.
No, that is good. I get that. And I had just never, as much music as I've been around and many singers I've been around, I've never even considered that until
there's a lot of times when, like I can talk for Isaacs and also for the quartet stuff. When we're singing, we'll sing choruses together, not for perfect parts, but for blend. Because you can have a perfect note, but the tone be so different that it doesn't blend with everybody else. I would rather have an off-pitch note, but be a blend than to have it be perfect.
Gotcha.
Because blend is unity.
And so, I know that you guys are all great individually, but how much does your blend have to do with you have been doing this since you were kids?
It has everything to do with it. I mean, you grow up in the same area, your accents are the same. And then as you sing together, for me as a harmony singer, my goal is to match whoever's singing lead as much as possible. If they open their mouth to say on a word instead of you want to open your mouth when they do. And so you really need to listen. People don't think singing is hard, but it's like calisthenics. I mean, you really need to focus on who's singing lead, and you need to emulate them as close as possible in the harmony notes. And to me, I think that you have to be really careful too. Oftentimes people complicate what we do by trying to move a lot, but really one person's moving and another person's staying straight, which makes those harmonic notes or makes those different notes that you hear the Isaac sing. And so, but a lot of it is really focusing on how that lead singer's phrasing when they take a breath, if they're choppier with their words. And so we naturally do that because our accents are quite a bit the same.
It's, you listen to kids who are raised by parents in East Kentucky, they all talk the same, they
Right.
sing the same. It's the same with us. We're
mixed up.
We're mixed up, and we all learn how to talk by listening to the same parents.
Yeah.
Right.
And we were born and raised in Ohio, and I would have to say out of all three of us, I've kept a northern accent with my O's.
Yeah.
More than anybody. So when we're in the studio or recording, they have to really focus on having a little bit more. Vowel sounds are more Ohio for me.
I think with me, it was the hardest for me to get used to singing with my kids. Not only my accent, but I always had a thick vibrato. That was my voice as a folk singer. So
Right.
I had to learn how to control my vibrato to sing straight with them as well as accent. But, once you get used to it, that's what you have to do. So I think that's what makes, everybody works hard to make that a smooth blend. Like she said, say your words the same. But it was hard for me at first. I didn't have a Kentucky accent. My husband did.
I think you probably have to be careful who you're around, because I know that you can take a Southern kid and take him up north, and it won't be long he'll start having some of that accent. And you can take a kid from the north and bring him down south, and he'll be talking normal in no time.
You're right. Exactly.
So I want, before we even move on to the music, there's such a huge background with the Isaacs that really starts, Lily, with your parents. And, in our world today, there are not many connections to a past that is as interesting, as real, as horrific as what your parents experienced. Tell us where your parents met.
Well, my mother and father are both from a town called Częstochowa, Poland. They didn't know each other, but that's where they grew up. It was a small agricultural town in Poland. And when World War II broke out in 1939, they, along with their families, were taken to concentration camps. My mother was only with one sister at the time. She didn't know what happened to the rest of her family till after the war. My father, the same, only had one brother with him in one of the camps he went to, and they survived where all of his family was killed. He had 5 siblings at home with his parents. So when the war was over in 1945, they wound up in Germany. They were in concentration camps in Germany, 2 different ones, wound up in Dachau the last few weeks of that. And when they were liberated in 1945, a lot of organizations worldwide got together and set up these places called displaced persons camps, where so many people that were, just dragged away from their homes and their families had no place to go. Many of them were malnourished, didn't have anything. So Red Cross, United Jewish Appeal, and different organizations came in. So my parents wound up in one of those displaced persons camps in Munich, Germany. And that's where they were nursed back to health and stayed there for a couple of years. And that's where my parents met. I think a lot of it was because they were from the same hometown. My father was 10 years older than my mother, but it seemed like they had something in common. They got married there, and then a couple of years later, I was born in Munich, Germany. We had a little family of 3, then came to America when I was 2. And so came over via Ellis Island on a big ship, and my parents would talk about that. And then when I was 9 years old, my parents and I became American citizens, and that was quite interesting. So that's, in a nutshell, that's how it all began.
Wow. And then you marry a guy and have 3 little Southern gospel singers.
Angels, you can call us angels. That's
Angels.
Actually,
Yeah.
only two of us are amazing.
fine.
What's funny, Andy, is we met in Greenwich Village, New York, and he's a Kentucky hillbilly singing bluegrass music. And I was a folk singer, so it just had to be meant to be. I mean, this is the what came out. I mean, they're just great, and they have such a diverse, repertoire of how they sing, what they sing. And I'm glad,
So your new album, or I guess your newest, and I will get to my favorite one before too long, but and maybe your newest is my favorite of that genre. But your newest one is an American Face, and it's an Americana album. And how is that doing? Are you guys having a great time singing that music?
We are. We had a lot of new doors open up to us because of the Grand Ole Opry, and we signed to a new booking agency called Ovation here in Nashville, and so they were presenting us with a lot more performing arts centers and audiences that are not as familiar with our music, that are kind of built-in audiences. They buy season tickets for every show that comes, and so they were being introduced to the Isaacson, being unfamiliar with our sound, and we write a lot of our songs. So we decided to go in and make a record that was relatable to them. And so, but we didn't want to do a whole record of just old songs. So we did 6 cover songs that we felt helped shape the face of America and the musical face of America. And then we wrote 6 songs to hopefully help shape the future of American music. And we had a lot of fun doing it. We've never done a whole album of secular songs. And by secular, I mean songs that aren't necessarily gospel songs or talk about Jesus or whatever.
Right.
We've always included songs like The Living Years, The Three Bells, I'm Gonna Love You Through It, songs that, that have always done well for us. Yeah, songs about life and love and, all the things God made. So this was the first time that we ever did a whole album of just those type of songs. And we did flavor it more Americana style, sound-wise, rather than just like country or the sound that we've always done, which is more stripped down acoustic.
I love that album, and I heard you guys I was at a sound check, I don't know, about a year ago, I guess, and you guys were doing some of that on your sound check, and which brings me back to your sound, because you guys a cappella are unbelievable, and it's one thing that when I talk about you guys, that I tell people, I say, I've heard them doing unison on stage and had to go, is that all of them or one of them? I mean, that blend is so tight. It's just amazing. So how did the Grand Ole Opry membership come about so late? You should have been inducted 20 years ago, but I know you're happy about it, and I know that they are ecstatic about having you guys on a regular basis.
The first time we played the Grand Ole Opry was about 30 years ago when Porter Wagner, he was a fan of ours. He had heard us perform on the radio or something, and we went and sang at a birthday party for him. I think he was turning 70 years old at the time, and he really liked our group. And back then we definitely had more of a bluegrassy sound. But Porter said, "Come be on the Grand Ole Opry as my guest." And
TV show.
Excuse me. This is one of those moments Jacoby would jump in and sing. So we went and performed on the Opry, and we got invited back several times that year. And then we started getting invited back without Porter. And so we became regular guests on the Grand Ole Opry. We would play it, 4 or 5 times a year, or as much as they had, openings, and then would invite us. And so we have been playing the Grand Ole Opry for 30 years now as guests. And so 2021, I don't know what happened. They've gone through different general managers down through the years, and they're kind of the ones that really call the shots. Then with a team of people,
We think.
yeah.
Right.
And so the guy
Like the New York Times bestseller list, you don't really know how it happens. So
Right. Okay. So I didn't know that, but so the general manager, I guess, is just fond of us and loved us too, and the door was open, and so we're on stage. Speaking of the American Face album that you were just talking about. The Opry was so kind. Ben had the idea of us having our album release party at the Grand Ole Opry. And so we had several hundred of our closest friends come and be in the Opry House one night. And this was back in August of 2021.
They
And
gave us a 30-minute
they allowed us,
set.
they gave us an extended set, like twice as long. So we got to do 6 songs or 5 songs. And then they allowed us to do a party backstage for our friends as an album release for the American Face Party. And part of the cool thing of that was we did a video, a concept video. You can go watch it on the Isaacs YouTube channel. Just type in the American Face, the Isaacs. And we featured the Grand Ole Opry on the video. It was we went out Route 66. We did like 4 or 5 days of filming. And we just kind of wanted to capture the face of America, what different Americans look like. And we wanted to really celebrate the diversity of the American face and how we're also different, and it all makes America better. And so we featured the Opry on that. So we put this big movie up on the screen behind of us at the Opry, and here we are on the Opry singing it. And about 3 songs into it, Ricky Skaggs comes sneaking up behind us.
I was starting to introduce the song when
The
he
next
interrupted
song
me.
after, yeah. So he comes up behind us and he says, well, the Grand Ole Opry would like to make a presentation. And in true Opry fashion, they have a plaque for you all. And
They do plaques for everything.
yeah, they do plaques for everything. And he said, so tonight this is a plaque for the Isaacs, and it had our American Face album on the front. It was beautiful. And it said, this plaque is to commemorate the release of the Isaacs' new album, The American Face. And everyone clapped, and we were like, oh, that's so sweet. Of course, in our hearts, we thought, when he walked out there, we got so excited because we're like, what's going on? We thought maybe the possibility was there. But then everybody's clapping, and we're like, oh, that's so nice of you, Opry. Thank you. And then he goes, and we invite you to become the newest members of the Grand Ole Opry. And we just start screaming.
It took about 10 seconds to process that question.
We were just like, it's really happening.
Oh, Becky's
And
got it.
everybody was
There
just
it
so
is.
crazy.
This is a poster of it.
That's what
I
he
have
read.
the big one hanging on the wall.
That's what he read, right?
So
Wow.
it's tucked there at the very bottom. Can you see that?
I see it.
So this
Wow.
is present us in this big old 20 by whatever
Frame.
frame.
So of course we said, yes, we'll marry you. And then a month later, we had the official induction ceremony.
That is awesome. That is so awesome. We're gonna on the show notes, we will have everything listed about where to get you guys and everything. But let me ask you this: where would it be best for us to buy your albums? I mean, I know they're available everywhere, but where would it be best for us to buy them? Where would you like us to buy them?
Isaacs.com. Our store on the website is usually the best. If they want a hard copy CD, obviously if they want a digital download, then they'll have to just go to their favorite platform, whether that be iTunes, Apple Music, or whatever. But if they want a hard copy CD, the Isaacs.com.
Okay. All right. And Lily, your book is also there on the Isaacs.com.
I tell everybody that you were one of the biggest influences in my life writing that first book. If you remember years ago, I was so discouraged. I didn't think I'd ever get it done. And I was just, panicked. And you gave me such godly advice from a little brother. And I just moved on. And I've been so grateful that I get to share my story that way. And I've written another book since then. But everything we have is on the Isaacs.com. So we'd love for people to visit and purchase something.
Sonia, I'm just laughing every time Sonia sneezes or coughs. I mean, it's just so funny to me. I don't know why. I would not normally laugh at a guest, but
Not funny. Now,
How do you think I feel?
what?
Where do you think I got it?
Oh, you got it from Ben, I'm sure.
I got it from Vegas.
I got it from Sonia's son, Gatlin.
I don't know.
I know
Yeah,
I
but
did.
well, isn't it weird that he got sick and before I got sick?
That is-
Anyway, so here's what wouldn't you say that like one of the greatest compliments as an author that you could get on a book is when somebody says, I couldn't put it down? Would you say that's one of the greatest?
Absolutely.
That is honestly the most common phrase and quote that I hear from people that read her book. And her first one's called You Don't Cry Out Loud. And it came out, 8 years ago?
2014, the year Mom died.
Yeah.
It's a great book. It's a great book.
A Wedding Dress with Combat Boots. Because she's still writing her story. It's a continuation of the last one.
And it's 6 of the most riveting pages you'd ever want to read.
Oh my gosh. If Becky could reach you, now.
Yeah.
It's very funny to me that Becky seems to have this kind of thing with Jimmy and with Ben. I saw you guys backstage one time, and Ben made Becky aggravated, and I got to see a true 6 and 8 year old brother sister relationship, because Becky hit you in the back and said, "You giant." That is hilarious to me still. Okay, let me.
I was Ben's brother and Sonia's sister. So, because I can hair was a mess like a boy, but the front of my hair looked good, and I had fingernails painted, but underneath them were dirt. So I could be either one. And so Ben used to teach me his wrestling moves. He'd pay me $5 a wrestling move, and when he was in junior high, and then Sonia and I would play dolls. So yeah, I mean, I'm just everything.
Becky is mean, Andy.
She's well-rounded.
Well, that's what Jimmy says. Sonia's husband is Jimmy Yeary, the songwriter that many of you guys know very well. And yeah, Jimmy says that you're mean too.
She can take her toes. You can be sitting across from her at a table, and within 1 second, she can have her toes around some part of your flesh on your leg, drawing blood. They're little claws.
When you're the baby, you do what you have to do to defend yourself.
TMI.
I guess.
Hey, I'm a peaceful person until I'm put in the corner, and then I just punch hard. I can't help it.
So as you mentioned, Andy, there is this rivalry between my husband, which is Team Jimmy, and
he's got like 3
and Becky, which is Team Becky.
Team
and so,
Becky.
Because of the Yeary Chapel show that Jimmy does a lot, we do that a lot. It's really grown into a thing. And so now people are showing up at our concerts wearing Team Becky shirts. And they always have to send a picture to poor Jimmy. And so he's really going to have to amp up his
I saw some Team Becky jackets in Las Vegas.
Hey, I'll be honest
I'm torn right down the middle.
People are always asking me how they can be a member of Team Becky, and I said there's only one rule. It's not complicated. You have to love me more than Jimmy. That's it. Nothing else.
Tell him your motto in life.
And my motto in life, and Jimmy knows this motto, I could care less who comes in first place. I don't care who it is, including me, as long as it's not Jimmy. Pretty simple. 2 rules.
They've had some serious competitions out on tour. You know, Jimmy worked with us. He was on the road with us for like a year and a half when our firstborn came, Aiden. And they really have they're both very competitive. Jimmy's the most competitive person I've ever met in my life. He doesn't like to lose. And I mean, he definitely wants to, and he definitely doesn't want to lose to a girl. And so,
but he does quite often.
I saw a volleyball game you and Jimmy were in. I was like, this is like the bloodiest volleyball game I've ever seen.
And did you see me flip him at the end? It was amazing.
We called that a volley brawl game.
A volley brawl. Yeah. There you go. Well, let me change the subject here. And since we're talking about brawling and wrestling, let's talk about love. I think that one of my top 10 albums of all time, and by far my favorite Christmas album, is the Isaacs Christmas. Now, you guys know that I've pestered you about that album for a long time. And if you are watching this, if you're watching the show, we're in 117 countries around the world. And we're in all the countries, but only 117 countries are watching and listening. There's Christmas in all 117 of them. And this is our 200th show.
Yay! Happy birthday!
Yeah. So this is our 200th show. So I need you guys to do me a favor in honor of our 200th anniversary. Do me a favor. Do yourself a favor and get several of these. It's the white CD. It's the Isaacs Christmas, and you want to go ahead and get several of them. because it's going to be your favorite Christmas album and you're going to want to give it away. There's how many cuts on this album? 10, 12? Anybody remember?
More than that. I think there's 14 on it. 13 or
Okay.
14.
That's 10 or 12.
Yeah, 10 or 12.
14.
Or more.
But there is not a cut on that whole thing that is a 9. Every one of them are 10 out of 10. And I for somebody who loves Christmas music, I love Christmas music. And this is still my favorite Christmas album of all time. And I also think, and I know that I've pestered you guys about this, there is a song on that album that Mark Lowry called me several years ago when we were getting just, the album had not come out and you guys were sending some snippets to some of us and saying, what do you think about this? And Mark called me and he said, have you heard this song, The Isaacs Have? And I'm like, no, what? And now Mark Lowry wrote the lyrics to Mary Did You Know? Okay, so just imagine him saying this. So he's very serious when he said, have you heard this song, The Isaacs Have? I said, no. He said, it may be the best Christmas song I've ever heard.
Wow.
Really? From the guy who wrote the words to Mary, Did You Know? And so when I heard it, I told Mark, I said, yeah, this is this song and Mary, Did You Know? I mean, but I was telling him that just to be nice to him. So, because this song is one that I'm going to allow some of our listeners, some of our viewers to second me on this. You guys are nuts if you don't play this song all year long in your concerts and put that Christmas album out on your table, and is the most unusual Christmas song. And I've heard, Becky, I've heard you do it 100 times, and I get chills every time I hear it. And I have that video that you guys sent me. You were on your Israel trip. I know you have another Israel trip coming up, and you were, and I'm sure that's on your website, right? That people can go to Israel with you guys.
We're finalizing the details, but we will have it up very soon.
Okay.
Israel in May, a year from now, 2023. And we
Gotcha.
take people that want to go and we sing at all the holy sites and have little mini services, and you get a great history there and the culture, and then we have the worship side of it, and it'll be on the isaacs.com very soon.
Okay.
All of our social media will be pushing it, but yeah, it's going to be great.
Well, this video, you guys were at the Shepherd's Cave in Bethlehem, and somebody said, are you the Isaacs? And could you sing that song? And so somebody, I guess, got a guitar off the bus, and you guys are sitting there and you've been traveling all day, and yet here you go. And so I would like to, if you don't mind, I want to put that video right here where everybody can see it.
Do it.
Yeah.
All right.
We love it.
All right, here we go.
It was not a silent night. There was blood on the ground. You could hear a woman cry in the alleyway that night on the streets of David's town. And the stable was not clean, and the cobblestones were cold. had no mother's hand.
There you go. Hallelujah.
It was a labor of pain.
Glory to God.
It was a cold sky above. But for the girl on the ground in the dark, every beat of her beautiful heart was a labor of love. Noble Joseph by her side, calloused hands and weary eyes. There were no midwives to be found in the streets of David's town, in the middle of the night. So he held her and he prayed, shafts of moonlight on his face. But the baby in the womb, he was the maker of the moon. He was the author of the faith that could make the mountains move. It was a labor of pain. It was a cold sky above. But for the girl on the ground in the dark, every beat of her beautiful heart, it was a labor of love. Little Mary, full of grace, and the tears upon her face, it was a labor of love. It was not a silent night on the streets of David's town.
Man, that just blows my mind. I get chills. I'm telling you, I get chills every time I hear it.
It
I
was
just-
hard not to be emotional standing there in Shepherd's Field, like right the place where that happened, hearing the stark reality of what really happened, wasn't it? I mean, we were all crying. It was just beautiful. It was amazing.
Wow. Well, thank you guys for allowing that. And so what's next? What are you? I mean, other than getting well.
More touring, theisaacs.com. You can find our schedule. Please come see us whenever we're around. We travel a lot, mainly weekends, all year. And so we'd love for you to come out and see us. And if you come see us, tell us you saw us at Andy's show.
Yeah, please.
Tell them how far-reaching his program is to our fans. So that'd be great, helping us grow our fan base.
Yep.
Ben, what are you producing right now?
I just turned in a new Tim Menzies record, one of my favorite singers of all time, Menzies, Tim Menzies. Check him out. Working on a Jonathan Wilburn project. And the thing right now that probably has me the most tied up is a new Fortune Walker Isaacs Rogers project.
Man, I can't wait to see that. And that's another thing you guys need to check out. I just wore that CD out.
Thank you, brother.
That came out. So it's
Jimmy Fortune singing. I got sunshine. My girl. It's so
Yeah,
good.
and I hate to say this, but how old is Jimmy?
Jimmy's 70. No,
No,
66. 66.
Well, his voice is just like clear.
It's better than it's ever been. He's matured into such a beautiful, he's a late bloomer.
Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. Sonia, hug Jimmy for me. Becky, kick Jimmy for me. Lily, you try to keep this crew controlled here. And
boys, your two sons that are so amazing.
Well,
We love your whole family, Andy. Hope to see you sometime this summer.
yeah.
Maybe we'll get you this.
Because you're going to vacation in Orange Beach.
I hope so.
Hey, if we can afford to come, good Lord, have you looked at the prices of vacationing there right
We need
now?
to talk, Andy.
We can just go stay with him.
Well, I've slept under the pier.
Oh,
Hey, we want to say personally thank you for all the time and investment you have sown into the Isaacs. Every time we get to be with you, you take us aside and you give us just little moments of insight, wisdom, and they're impactful. And sometimes we're slow to put feet on them just for circumstances, but we always reflect upon your wisdom, and you are a noticer. Everything that you do, you notice what we do, and always find ways to better us. And we thank you for all the time and energy you've put into pouring into us.
Well, you guys are the best, and I just believe you are a gift, and it has always been a priority for me that people learn who you are, because it would just enrich people's lives. And so just, I appreciate your personalities, appreciate your talent, the skill you have added to it, the time it's taken to do that. And you guys are just a gift. And I know that you're in Nashville today, and I know that you're in 4 different houses, but you came together to do this. And I know that's just tough when you got a day off to come in. And I really appreciate it. I love you guys very much.
Love you too, brother.
Andy Andrews.
I'm Andy Andrews, the professional noticer, harnessing common sense and wisdom to plow through challenges all the way to an answer for you. And I think that'll do it for this week. Get us out of here, Matthew. So, ladies and gentlemen, and to the boys and girls who aspire to become ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of another episode of The Professional Noticer. In a world where common sense has become a superpower, I'm harnessing what mental energy I have for you, seeking wisdom, making observations, and endeavoring to answer tough questions in a way that will empower your family and your business. I'm Andy Andrews. Until next week, goodbye. This episode of The Professional Noticer was produced by Matt Limpert. The Noticer theme written and performed by Sugarcane Jane. Voice lessons for the cast and crew provided by Twinkle and Smoke of Beverly Hills. Additional funding provided by the Grand Ole Opry. Are you tired of the same choices in entertainment? Think you're ready for something new? Well, Saturday nights at 9 p.m. Central on Clear Channel WHEW. Get ready, it's the Grand Ole Opry. It's a whole hour that combines the best of country music performed by the finest voices of our time. You'll hear Andrea Bocelli singing He Stopped Loving Her Today. Placido Domingo does the best of Willie Nelson. Whiskey River, take my mind. Enrico Caruso performs a Jerry Reed compendium doing Amos Moses, When You Hot, You Hot, and the classic She Got the Gold Mine. I got the shaft. They said they're splitting it all down the middle, but they give her the better half. Best of all, the third Saturday of every month, Luciano Pavarotti will do selections from multiple sources. One month you might hear a Johnny Cash medley or several songs from the Charlie Pride catalog. This month, Pavarotti does Merle Haggard. I turned 21 in prison, doing life without parole. No one could steer me right, but Mama tried, Mama tried. So join us Saturday nights at 9 on WHEW. You'll get the best of both worlds on the Grand Ole Opry.